Hey guys, Terrence here again from Neptune Systems. We're bringing back Control Freak Wednesdays. We've had a little lull in them, and we just thought we needed to bring these back. I got a really cool text from one of my favorite guys out there in Miami, Ty, who said, Terrence, you guys still doing the Control Freak Wednesdays? We've got these guys out in Miami that have some pretty sweet tanks that want to show them off. So I said, of course we are. Let's line them up and get them on the show. So today, that's what we're going to do. It is Wednesday. I'm still at home. There's my home reef behind me, and we're kind of locked up in the shutter in place, whatever you want to call it, and doing the best we can with this thing we're in, and we're all in all across the country. And thank you so much for joining us here, and thank you for those of you that are customers for being our customers and sticking with us. And we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube right now. And this particular show is every other week on Wednesdays if we have somebody's tank to show off. But I know I've got a bunch of guys now in Miami. And then on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday on the off weeks from this show, we have Let's Talk Reef. And that's on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that's when we're doing that show. So let's see here. We've got somebody says, you think that you're relevant and people are trying to get food and you still want to push your products. No, we want to talk to our customers. So if you want to be out here on the live stream and talk about Apex stuff and see what some of the fun, cool things are people are doing with their tanks on Control Freak Wednesday, please join us. Clearly some people are having a hard time right now, and I feel for them, and this is not a program right now to push our products, so definitely not. We love our reef tanks, love the one behind me, and I love the one I'm going to show you guys right now today as I bring in our guest, Henry Rodriguez. Hey, Henry, how's it going, man?
Hey, Terrence, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, You know, we're all locked up here all around the country, and are you as well over there in Miami?
I guess the city's locked up. I work for the fire department, so we kind of still got to go to work, but a lot of stuff is shut down. The essential stuff's still open, and there's people that don't listen and they do what they want. But for the most part, it's pretty good.
Really cool, man. So you're a firefighter?
Yes, sir.
What's your specialty?
Actually, I'm on a hazmat truck, which is not the best place to be right now. But
wow.
It is what it is.
So you're a bunny suit guy?
Sometimes. We were just in a suit a couple of days ago. We get called out to decon trucks and stations whenever they have high-risk patients.
So basically when somebody who has a reef tank in Miami has an issue with their palytoxins, they call Henry.
I don't think it would be so much that. It would be more like gas release, gas leaks, odd smells, stuff like that. We're a regular engine company, so we do that, but we're also hazmat specialty. So we kind of do both. So, we're the South End hazmat truck for Dade County.
Right. Well, very cool. I really appreciate all of the first responder people who are doing what they're doing, especially right now. It's tough times to go out because it's kind of the hidden danger, right? When you have a fire, or even when you have something spilled on the ground, many times you can see what it is. But this is so different, huh?
Yeah, and the bad thing is, you got to go in the morning, and it's not like normal. You go in and you talk with the guys. They want us wearing masks at work now. You got to go in the morning. You spend the first couple of hours, cleaning the truck, decon the truck, the gear, the bags, all that stuff. So again, we're a regular engine. We run ALS, BLS calls on top of the fire stuff, and then the hazmat on top of that. So we go in, we clean our stuff. We go in, we clean our rooms and stuff, and then it's just day-to-day stuff. The call's been a little slow because a lot of people are hesitant to go to the hospital. You can understand. But,
well, no doubt that's going on. And so, I guess, with a job like that, it stands to reason having a reef tank is kind of a nice little respite to come home to, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So how long have you had the saltwater aquarium?
Man, this tank right here, I think we had, I think it's been like 5 or 6 years. I bought it back when Mackinac was here in South Florida around that time. I had bought a tank maybe 6 months before that, already set up from an individual on Craigslist. And there was a lot of things I didn't like about it, so I kind of wanted to start over, and I ended up getting this one here. I picked it up used as well. We had an aquarium back in, I was probably like 20 years old before I was even married. And when we married my wife, we moved into a house, and, we had to get rid of it. So I kind of just started back up. But it's been already probably 6 years or so.
So I know, in this hobby, it's mostly men, right? Let's face it. But some of us get lucky enough to have wives who really love the reef tanks too. Some of them get involved in it. Some of them just are very cooperative and love seeing it in their home and whatnot. Where do you fit into that equation?
In between.
In
She
between?
she'll help out. She doesn't really understand the inner workings of it, but she doesn't mind helping me out. Like
But does she
when
enjoy it? She
yeah,
doesn't. She enjoys having it in the home and enjoys seeing the
yeah,
fish and
like
engaging.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't see who wouldn't.
Oh,
It's a
there's a
nice
lot
thing.
that don't, man. There's a lot that don't. We're lucky ones. Trust me, we are the lucky
I
ones.
guess, I guess, I guess. My wife complains because I have a big lab, and when she sits down next to the tank, the dog wants to come and bother her. So she's like, the dog doesn't let me enjoy the tank.
Oh my gosh. So, so you got this particular tank for about 5 or 6 years, and it's been pretty successful for you all through that time. Or have you had ups and
It's
downs?
been it's been some ups and downs. I guess one thing, when you do it later in life, I was able to afford more than what I could before. Before I had to skim through with the bare minimum. Now I was able to buy nicer equipment, the full Apex. So I can spend a little more now, and I think that helps.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've changed some things over the 5 or 6 years. I started buying water in the store. And then I went to mixing my own water. And then the Stenner came out. I think I bought that, and the dose came out just a few months after that. So I switched over. So a lot of things have made it easier, I guess. Um,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
then
there is a thing with that, right? So it's a lot of times you start off in whatever hobby it is. It could be golf, it could be fly fishing, it could be whatever. You're trying to get your feet wet, so to speak, and you do what you can do, what you can afford to do. But then at some point, as your life progresses and whatnot, you're able to afford some of the nicer things, and then you find out that it makes your golf game better, it makes your fly fishing better, it makes it's not a guarantee, nothing's a guarantee, but it
yeah,
often does, right?
I
You're
don't
not
think it's
having to fight with
necessary.
things.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, but it does help. So I mean, yeah, sure, you could do your own water changes. I was manually testing, out several times a week. So you're paying in essence for the ease of it. I guess for the comfort of not having to do certain things.
Right. It is one of those things that I tell people also is that if there's 100 things that you need to do, and 20 of them you kind of somewhat enjoy to do or enjoy doing, and and 20 of them you hate, you know, and you can get rid of 20 or 30 things out of there, then you can really focus more on the time of the stuff that you really love to do, whatever that may be in whatever hobby that is, and that goes for fishing or golf or whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. It's and there's also certain things that allow you to track your tank from anywhere you are. Like the Trident. I'm a big fan of the Trident, and it allows you to see if stuff's going wrong before it gets to a point where you can't catch it.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure. All right, well, let's do this.
yeah,
Let's start to take a look at your tank. I know one of the things already. I see some of the gear behind you. We're going to look at some of the fish and corals and things, and you're going to talk to me about some of that. But now, after hearing that you are a firefighter and how you guys keep those trucks, now I know why the gear looks the way it does. Right?
not everybody. Now, I got a sickness, man. My friends make fun of me. I got a sickness.
But it is. I mean, it does align with firefighting. I mean, come on, let's be real, right? I mean, I've seen those guys roll their hoses up, right? I mean, you go to you probably went for training and they probably beat that into you, that all that neatness and keeping your gear straight and everything, right?
Some guys are better than others. For the most part, it's pretty good though.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's
All right,
take
I'm
us
gonna
into
pull
the
the
tank.
camera.
So, how big is the tank again? How many gallons?
It's I guess it's a European, but I guess in liters, it's about
Those
150 gallons.
Europeans. Those darn
There's
Europeans.
135 actual gallons of water in the tank.
Okay. All right. And
So you
wow,
got
look
to
at
guide
that.
me. I really can't see where the camera's pointing.
No, I understand. That's fine. You can pull back a little wider. That would be great. We can see a little bit more of the tank. And I'm going to go into the full screen mode here so that you guys can see. Let's see here. Hang tight. Now you guys can see. You guys can hear me. You can hear him. and we can see what's going on. So that's good. So lots of SPS I see, and but still some incredible LPS there. You've got a big old torch. How long have you had that thing?
When I bought the original tank that I said I didn't like much, it came with a big torch colony, and that's the same torch colony that I've had for probably 6 years. I've broken it in half probably 3 times already.
Wow.
Recently I had to because it was getting too large and staining some of the SPS around it, and it's still quite large.
So what about that? Is that brain coral back there? Is that a lobophilia?
Yeah, that's another one that I got. Again, when I bought the tank, it came with a few large SPS colonies, and that
Right.
was one of the ones that I ended up keeping since then.
And
It's probably grown. It's
it's
probably grown.
big, man. It takes a long time to get a lobo to look like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's probably like the size of a volleyball, maybe. It's pretty large.
That's amazing. So, did you mostly start out like some people with softies and LPS, and then kind of graduate over into doing some of those LPS? Because you got a lot of, I mean, sorry, those SPS, because you got a ton of SPS in there too.
It started off mostly with the large colonies of LPS, and then right away I started with some real simple SPS. Yeah, some simple SPS like bird's nest and stuff.
Right.
And I think that my error in the beginning was I was trying to keep the tank a little too clean,
Right.
and I think I was tweaking stuff too much.
Right.
So I
Right.
think it's I've learned to kind of let things go a little bit, and maybe don't be so clean in the tank.
So that's a
Yeah, like I
nice
made a
powder
mistake.
blue. That's a nice powder blue you have there. How long have you had that?
I would say probably about 2 years and change. I
So
QT all my fish,
he's over
and
the hump then. That's really good because I mean
yeah,
those things are, you when you can find one, the one that I have in my tank that's sometimes hanging out over my shoulder here on the camera, you'll see come by. He's about 7-8 inches long, and he was given to me by a local fish store, Neptune Aquatics, who had got it as a turn-in from another aquarist that turned it in, and the guy had it for 3 or 4 years, so I knew it'd be healthy. But yeah, they're really hard when when you get them, after just coming in from collection or whatever it may be. But when you've had them for a while, they're going to be good to go, and they're great fish, aren't they?
he's pretty nice because I hear some people, have stories about how they could be mean. He's not bad. I have him and 2 other tangs, and I think the yellow and the purple end up kind of sparring a little more than the powder blue does. So he
So
he does seem to kind of like keep the other two at bay, but
so what's your
he's pretty
favorite
well
fish
behaved.
then, and what's your wife's favorite fish?
She likes the clown, I think.
Yeah, you only have one.
I had a clown. I had a pair, and I don't know what happened, man. I lost one a couple of days ago
Oh, that's too bad.
for some reason, and yeah, she was so upset. She wanted me to perform CPR on the clown.
I'd have paid a lot of money to see that, Henry.
I would too.
That'd be pretty good. So you got a lot of stuff on the frag rack. Do you sell those, or are those corals coming into the tank?
It's I don't really sell. I have some friends that they sell, and they come and they'll pick up frags from me, and and they'll end up selling them. Yeah, and they help me out also. So it helps me to
Oh,
buy more
absolutely.
stuff.
Definitely. I think that's once you get to be an established reef keeper, if you can keep a few frags and help support your cost of the hobby, absolutely do it, no doubt. So when are you going to get a frag tank though that connects to this, man?
Man, my tank, I'll show you in a minute. The bottom. I'm gonna shut the pumps off, so maybe we can look by the top.
Yep.
I love my tank. The Elos it's a beautiful tank, but the cabinet being split in the bottom, it really limits me as far as sump space goes. I'm in the middle now of trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do with my sump, because I like also a clean install. I like the auto fleece. I went with the clear auto fleece before,
Mm-hmm.
and it works pretty well. But
Ooh, look at that top
it
down.
kind of gives it kind of gives its hiccups. So I kind of want to go with maybe the Clarisy, or I've been talking with Scott from Royal Exclusive about they have their mini sumps, which are pretty nice as well. It's just a little costly, but I don't know. I'm kind of weighing some stuff around. I was thinking of Geo's Reef sump. but I
Uh-huh.
don't think that it accommodates the size of my return pump.
Well, let me tell you, that Lobo, if you go back over to where that Lobo is, that thing, you can tell how big it is now, man. That thing is huge. That is awesome. That is so cool to have all this kind of variety in the tank, to be able to have all that LPS and the SPS. I see you're glowing some new G5s there. So
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty
just put
cool.
them in last night, actually.
Yeah, getting ready for the live stream, huh?
Yeah,
You're,
exactly. I cleaned my sump.
oh man, so you probably were setting those things up, going, man, these better work, huh?
Till 2 a.m. I had a little hiccup. I had a little hiccup with the lights, but yeah, I ended up figuring it out, and we're pretty good to go here.
Whenever you set something new up, there's always something that's going to go on. It's just, we understand that. All right, man. Well, let's see where the business end of this aquarium is, because that's what everybody's waiting for, is to see all of that.
So let me see if yeah, I don't know if I'm too far back or not. Let's see.
No, you're fine. You could even be back a little further to get the whole thing in one shot right now.
So you'll see that the sump is divided in half, which is kind of what limits me as far as the sump space.
Okay.
It's good because the electronics, they go on the left, and I'm a stickler for wire management.
I thought when you said it was split, it just had the bar down the middle. I didn't know that you meant two separate compartments.
Yeah, there's two separate compartments. So
you
I'm actually considering
cut that out.
What's that?
You can't put another beam in there and then just cut out that middle section and call it good.
I don't know, man. It's so risky. My friend Chris actually suggested maybe building another cabinet and moving the tank, but I can't move. I mean, the rocks are too large with those colonies, so I have to empty it and move the tank. And man, I'm so scared to break a seam or something. So the tank's doing so well that I really don't want to mess with it. So I'm just gonna see what I can do as far as I want a nice sump, because I like to display the equipment.
Yeah, that sump is, a little bit wanting, right? I mean, it definitely needs a little bit more water for the size tank. How big is that tank again? Raul came here late and he said he wants to know how many liters or gallons.
The tank it's 150. Volume wise, what I have right now is 135, including the water in the sump. So it's 135 gallons. That's pretty much that's as big as I can make the sump. I can't go any bigger. Unless I go external or come up with something weird. I don't know. I'm looking into it.
Well, let's go through the life support here. So, with all the gear that you're running, so the sump holds what, about 25 gallons maybe?
I guess so. I know when I overflow about 8 gallons. So it's probably about 25 to, give or take, 23, 25, 28, somewhere around there, I guess.
So what pump is that you're running? Is that a Red Dragon?
Yeah, Red Dragon return pump. That's the tank really only has one return. So I bought that mostly just for reliability because it doesn't flow a lot of water. I think my return rate is only like 300 gallons per hour.
Yeah, this is something. Let's stop on that for a second, because that's a really good thing to talk to people about that are on this stream. Is that getting the biggest pump you can doesn't really mean you're going to get whatever the flow rate it says on it, because everything has to do with how it's plumbed and how many outputs you have. And I've done a few different presentations on this, both on live streams as well as at MACNA and other places. And so what he's saying is right. I mean, even though he's running right there, it looks like what, 1.25 inches? Is that 1.25 inches pipe?
It's 1 inch. It's the pressure pump, so it's 1 inch.
Is 1 inch. So he's running 1 inch, and then he's probably got it going up, and probably, do you have lock line on it up there at the top?
There is a small section of lock line, but the old Elos design was not designed for high flow rate, so it restricted a lot. When I put the flow rate monitor on there, and I was surprised. I thought I was going to be.
Most people are. Most people are, and then the thing that they need to realize is that it doesn't matter as much as they think it does, right? That getting the turnover rate of a couple of times an hour is plenty, right? I run 1,150 gallons per hour measured on my tank. My tank is 425 gallon display, right? So it doesn't need that much turnover, so people should not freak out, and they should understand that when you do restrict it, even if you are only restricting it up at the tank, it doesn't matter how big the pipes are, as if you're restricting it all the way down at the top. And being a fireman, you know that, right? You know all about the flow and pressure and all of that, because you had to learn all that. So definitely is something a lot of people don't get. So what skimmer are you running there?
It's actually a Vertex. I'm in the process of after the sump, I'm kind of considering going with a Royal exclusive. Also, just I like
Right.
to match. So I kind of, it's got the controller. I kind of want to, make like a control board
Right.
behind the sump, with so I can mount both of the two controllers. I think they're IP65, so they can handle, being in the sump compartment. I think it'll just look sharp, and they make a good product. Scott is phenomenal as far as support. I mean, he's answered questions that I ask him,
Scott
even
is
like
great. Scott's one of the best things that's happened to those guys. Quite frankly, Scott knows his stuff when it comes to reef keeping, and it's one of the reasons why all the people that that we hire and most of the people that are public facing are all serious reef keepers in our company, so that every conversation that we have with somebody, it can be at their level, right, or be helpful. It's super important. So you're
So
running.
I'll get a little closer. I used the Neptune's top off. It's been pretty
Okay.
good. I still have the early model sensors. I
Okay.
switched one or two out, but it's been good. I mean, it's
Cool.
got some good fail safes. It's got the flow, which I'm actually considering moving because I've never had to activate it. So
Yeah, I mean the
I'll
float
run my
the float valve is there. The float valve is there as that last stopgap measure, just to make sure that if something electronic was to fail, or somebody, for instance, inadvertently just turned, let's say, the outlet on the apex for your auto top off pump to on, or the solenoid, or however you have it hooked up, that it would never overflow because the mechanical float valve would take over. So I like how you got the tubing there. That's really cool.
I used to, it's changed over the years. So this was the first sump I made. So this was me just trying to clean things up. I wanted to dose in a more turbulent area, and I wanted to keep the dosing fluid away from the Trident pickup. I have a Trident and a Reef pot, and I wanted to keep the high out from the dosing away from it to get more accurate results. So that's why I kind of dosed it into that section. I do have my probes in the same compartment as a skimmer, which works pretty well for me. And then I used to run socks. I went to the clear, which is, it's not the best. It kind of backs up sometimes. So that's why I wanted to switch over to like the Clarity or Royal exclusives. Their Bubble King fleece looks, real heavy duty. So.
But overall, you like the roller mat over having socks?
I think so. I used to do 3. As you can see, I made it for 3 socks, and I used to change them out weekly.
Right.
I mean, not having to clean, it's like one of those things, it's just one less thing that you have to do. As long as the fleece works well. This one tends to let some particulate through, which I'm not really that happy about. As you can see, I like to keep the sump clean. I think that when you display your system, your equipment should look, equally as well as the system.
Oh man, then you can't go do an expose on my stuff. Then there's no way.
Because
you would be super critical of my stuff. That's for sure, no doubt. My stuff's got to work and it's got to look good in the display. That's how I go. But I get you, man. I totally understand exactly what you mean. But it's in some people's DNA a lot more than it is others. For sure.
I got a sickness.
So somebody asked, what kind of tubing is that you're using? Is that a super, flexible tubing, or is that like stiff RO tubing?
No, it's RO. I actually run auto water change. You can see the lines. One comes in through the return chamber, another comes in through the drain. And for the auto water change, I actually use PEX, which is just polyethylene crosslink. Right. It's just a little stronger. I mean, some people use it even for water supply of the house.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's used quite a bit. I use it in my heat exchanger for heating my tank.
I use it because my water change lines run through the attic. So I'll show you in a minute. I have a compartment with fresh, new salt water behind me. So they run up and through the attic and then, out into the waste.
Well, look at the Apex gear side over there on the left. Let's start taking a look at that stuff, okay? So obviously you're running the latest Apex there, right? With two energy bars. Are you running power monitoring?
I actually run 3 energy bars. Yeah, I do for the return pump, for the skimmer, not for everything, just for the critical stuff.
Absolutely. Good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing that, because so many people are not using power monitoring. It's easy to set up for those of you out there that want to set up power monitoring on, say, your skimmer or on your return pump. There is a task for it in the task menu, and you can just go set that up. We've shown it a few times, but we know there are a lot of people that aren't running it. Definitely want to be running that. So there's your.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. I think you can you hit that icon that kind of looks like a thermometer, and then you can kind of see what your skimmer's been consuming, for the past couple of weeks. That'll kind of give you, you can go plus or minus, 5 or 10 watts or whatnot. It kind of gives you an indicator of early failure. Or actually, in one case, it caught that the pump had stopped running. So it kind of alerts you. And,
it's amazing.
I guess you can do something about it early.
Definitely really cool. You got an FMM there that's running your ATK, and then the other 2 sensor ports looks like you got them plugged into something.
I have the FMM running. It is running the ATK. I have 2 flow monitors. Initially I was going to run an algae reactor, but it wouldn't grow algae. So I don't know if the tank was just doing so well that it didn't need it.
Often that's the case, yes.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. So I had bought another one because I was going to go with the calcium reactor, and the 2-part was doing so well that I just didn't change.
Yeah,
so I'm going with I dose 2 little fishies Sea Balance, which has done really good for me. It works so well that I just don't want to change. So
Sea Balance is great stuff. Sea Balance, and it's one of those things. It's interesting that people have. I was running the Trident stuff for some time, but really both the stuff from Bob Stark, right, as well as Julian, the kind of enriched 2-part, so to speak, has been out there for a long, long time, and it's really good stuff because it's not a lot of people. I think that they need to help their marketing a little bit, to be honest. A lot of people think that is the same as mixing up, 2-part from BRS, right? Alkalinity and calcium, but it's not, because it has other trace, it has magnesium, it has all of these other things in it that you don't get when you just mix up, sodium bicarbonate or calcium.
Correct.
And that's what makes, both. What's Bob Stark's stuff? Now I can't even remember what it is. But anyway, Julian's Sea Balance works so well, even though it's only 2 bottles. So it's good stuff for sure. I see you've. I've
been really happy with. I used BRS and it worked well.
Yeah, the BRS stuff works, but you have to put trace in. So that's the thing. The BRS stuff does not have trace, so you'd have to use something like the Tropic Marin or what have you. There it is. Sorry, somebody mentioned it's ESV. Bob's going to slap me probably because I couldn't remember, but it's B-ionic. ESV B-ionic. So sorry, Bob. Bob's going to kick me for that. I'm going to owe him on that one. I'll owe him a drink at one of the events, I'm sure. But I see on your dose there you do have the quick disconnect little mod that the public came up with for putting them on the dose so you can have the John Guest fittings. That's pretty cool.
Yes, we did that a while ago. You kind of had to modify the tips a little bit. You got to kind of cut a little piece of the tips, and you can get the tubing to come in and out.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Since I put them in, I put them on all 3 doses. I'll show you later the water change dose. I have it on there too. The reason I have 2 doses was because, just like you, I started with Trident, and I really wasn't seeing any difference versus that and the BRS. So I switched to Julian's, and now it's just 2 containers.
And
I got
use
large
the other one for
containers.
Then you use the other one for your water change, right?
I have 2 here that I'm actually dosing Brightwell Minos, and crazy enough, Flatworm Stop. Many moons ago, I got flatworms, one of those learning things.
Right.
And I ended up losing all my coral because I tried to QT them in a makeshift tank. It didn't work. But one thing I noticed, one of the things I had tried was to run Flatworm Stop, and I noticed that the bases of the acros were encrusting faster, and it just seemed to help them. So ever since then,
I wonder about that. Right. I'm not going to dismiss that. Because I have heard that, but I'm wondering whether or not that's like many of the other reefing urban myths of the basing faster and everything. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, right? All I'm saying is it's just, for me, it's so funny because Flatworm Stop is supposed to be something for flatworms, and instead, look, my phone's going off because I didn't turn these things off.
Not actually. I think what you say is it strengthens the tissue of the coral, so it doesn't really. It's not like flatworm exit. Supposedly, it strengthens the skin of the coral.
No,
it makes it less palatable for flatworms. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I get that's what people say. Okay, and I've got I've got somebody from our company who just left a comment on here, Joe, because I've had this argument with him. Not that it works or it doesn't work, but that it's funny to me that we have no idea what is in this stuff. We put it in the tank, and people say that it does something amazing, and lo and behold, it does something amazing. So I'm not Richard Ross, okay? So I'm not like so skeptical of everything to Richard Ross's level, but a little bit of him does rub off on me, and I just kind of if there's somebody tells me, well, this is exactly what it is, and gives me some plausible reason, right? Like, okay, it's got XX3 number 4, and because of that it does this, and because of this it does that. Then I'm kind of like, okay. But anyway, we can move on from that. Anyway, the one thing I will tell you though, because
you vinegar and honey, I have no idea.
Who knows, right?
It just worked back then, and I've been dosing it ever since.
And I've got people, I've got everybody on here, so this is good. I like getting a little bit of controversy. It's good. I've got other people going, it's not snake oil, Terrence. It works. So okay, it works.
It worked for me, and okay. That's why I keep dosing it.
That's all that matters. But what I am going to tell you now is something that I can give you a tip on. Okay. Because you are so fastidious with your setup there. All of those wires that you have going into your energy bars, they don't have drip loops, man.
They actually do up in the top. The cabinet kind of goes up, and it actually comes up and around, and it wraps around in the back. And it's, like that stuff's not all just
yeah. Well.
So if you look, that's not the actual back of the cabinet. It actually continues up.
It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. You see how the cord comes straight down into the thing from up? That means water can go down, whatever, even if it's 3 inches of the wire, it goes down and it goes into the plug. You need to have the wires come down below the plug level in order to have a proper drip loop.
My OCD would not allow me to make big loops under those.
It's okay. It's just the fireman side of you should know that. So I'm just going to give you a little nudge there. But because your stuff is just too perfect, man. I got to be able to say something, okay, that you can improve upon.
You know what? I want to redo it. I've seen some of the work that Kyle Elder's done, and he does some
right with the boards and stuff. He does some great fabrication. Yeah, for sure.
So what I'm thinking of doing when I redo the sump, I might, because initially what I wanted to do was, clean up the wiring, and make it as perfect as possible. But what I didn't realize is that whenever you change equipment or you upgrade,
it's a pain.
It is so difficult to.
It's a major pain.
So I'm thinking maybe something that hides the wires and displays the equipment is going to be better. I kind of
things with a hinge are really good. So if something that's got a hinged front is the way to go, right? Down in my area, I don't have a hinged thing in mine, but I've got a backside that I can go around to, right? So I can have it be slightly ugly back there, and I'm redoing that right now. We'll be on a future program. I'll kind of show what's going on. But, yeah, your buddies out there, Lulio just said, yeah, you're not going to sleep tonight. Now that I said that, that's why I did that. All right, so let's move on. You see the Trident down there, so he's got a Trident. So,
yeah, the Trident in the corner. I actually have a reef bot over here on the tank. I keep an ATO container here on the outside with my fresh water. That's also plumbed through the walls, through the attic to the RO system. And then my Trident's over here.
So you almost need a third bedroom for that reef bot, I think.
My wife actually wants me to put it somewhere else, so she doesn't have to see it. I don't think it looks that bad. It's got a plant on it.
Okay.
I have dosing containers, about 2.5 gallons, because I probably go through more than a gallon a month.
Your buddy Wayne just said Henry Rodriguez wants to redo everyone's wires. So that's good. So let's take a look at your make water station, okay?
All right. Look, I don't know if it shows up, but you can see. Let me see if the picture here shows up of my. That's how sick I am. That's the power supplies of my radions.
Nice.
I made a little bracket behind it, and that sits behind the tank, holding the. That's how sick I am.
Nice. All right, what do we got over here? That's a long ways away. So that went up through your attic to get over here, you said, right?
No. This is just so the tank's here. It's in the same room. It's basically like a closet for umbrellas or coat
No, I
closet or
understand,
something.
but the plumbing to it, the tubing goes up in your attic. You said, right?
Yes, it goes up across the attic and then
Right.
down the wall behind the tank.
Right.
So let me see. I have a breakout box with some switches here. So let me see if I can get the
And
light
you
to
have a
turn on here.
reputation, man. Okay. Yeah, Chris Kanata just said, yeah, he's the wire whore of the group. He did my tank too.
So I don't know. Can you see from there? Let me switch my laptop around so I can maybe see where I'm pointing at. It's kind of hard to.
Yeah, I
guess.
know. It's asking you to do a lot here.
Okay.
So, okay, so here's the room. I can see your energy bar there. Okay, that's
So
good.
I have another EB8, which is basically there just as a spare.
So
it
see,
runs the return pump, and that's
only
about it.
because okay, I wouldn't normally do this, but only because I know how you are, and I know how all your buddies are, and they'll love me for this. Okay, you you probably shouldn't have that dose sitting right over all those wires going right into that energy bar, buddy. Love you, but yeah, I think you're gonna be redoing that one.
No, man. That's been there since the dose came out.
Yeah, but guess what? As good as the dose is, if one of those tubes splits or the dosing tube that's inside there has an issue over time and wears out, that water is going to spray out of there, and it's going to run right down the wall and right into that energy bar, and it's going to run right into those wires. Even if it doesn't even hit the energy bar, those wires are going to run right into the side there where you have those one-link cables. And it's going to go right on into the energy bar 832. He's like, damn, why did I do this live stream? Terrence is just giving me all sorts of crap about stuff.
Man, you know what?
It's only because I know. It's only because I know how much you love the wiring stuff that I'm going to bug you about it, and I know your buddies are going to love me for this. That's the only reason I'm doing it. But it's awesome.
Maybe I can create a bracket or something to catch the water if it fell there or something.
Now he's going to be thinking of it. This is great. So this is your dose for your water change. So you have your make water tank in there and your yeah. Okay.
There's an LED behind it that's hooked up to I got a breakout box and I ran some Cat5 cable over here. And actually I have a switch on the wall. I don't know if you can see all this stuff here.
So you both have.
You can see where the lines run into the attic. I have a switch so that I can. If I hit the switch down, it turns the light on. If I hit the switch up, it turns the water and the light on.
Very cool.
And then if I hold the button for more than 20 seconds, it mixes my salt water for like 18 hours.
Very cool.
So it's a circular container. I kind of built a little. I
just have to say, you have one of the best reef keeping wives, just like I do, because you took her coat closet, because it's not your coat closet, it's her coat closet.
There she is.
And she let you use that coat closet for your water storage. Okay, man, I don't know how much jewelry or whatever it took, but definitely pretty cool.
She actually encouraged me to put that there. So I asked her, hey, where do you think we could keep water? And I was going to keep it in the garage or even outside the house. And she's like, hey, why don't you take the coat closet? Who the hell needs coats in Miami anyway?
Yeah, that's for sure, right? They usually just get filled with junk anyway in any coat closet.
Yeah, and I keep my dive gear in there. I got some room for some stuff.
Well, let's go back on the two up here. So we had it like before in the beginning, and then. So very cool setup, man. I really love everything there, and appreciate you allowing us to walk through everything. With you. I mean, what the big?
I'll let you know once I get it all. I want to make it better. So once it gets better, then maybe we'll revisit.
It's awesome the way it is, and any kind of a hard time I'm giving you is just because I know you're the kind of person I love to give a hard time to, and you can take it. So that's why I did it.
I will be giving it some thought. You got to trust your product, man. You got to trust the product.
Well, look, man, it's just everything. Everything at some point fails. Everything.
I know.
And
I do change those heads religiously. I keep a little. I use a wax crayon, and those heads are the ones that I change the most, just because they get the most use.
They get the most wear for sure, absolutely. So
and then I figured I'd put it high, so if it ever broke, it wouldn't create like a siphon. Yeah,
Sure.
that's why I wanted to put it so
No,
high up in the.
that's super smart too. Yeah, absolutely. That way, if you that's a very good point that Henry just brought up. If you had put that low and you get a split in a tube, then it's just going to basically run all the water out until it equalizes with wherever the split is in that tube. So that's a very good point that he just made.
Yeah. What I
Absolutely.
might do now that you mentioned that, I maybe I'll get an aluminum bracket, and I'll fold it like at a, like a 90 or a little bit more, and I can set it next to it. So if it does drip, it would kind of maybe drip out and over and not into the
Yeah, it's
EVA.
just one of those things. It's one of those pet peeves that, when everything's going great, it never has a problem. But the whole idea of the drip loop thing is the wires themselves, because of surface tension of the water, right? And again, these are things you probably know from your profession, is that water just follows whatever surface it's on. And if it happens to be a wire, and even if you just had wet hands or a splash or something, especially with salt water, fresh water is a lot more forgiving. You can get fresh water in an outlet and nothing will happen, especially if it's RO water. It's not going to be a big deal really most of the time. But salt water is a big deal, getting into any outlet, even a little bit. And then if it gets into the electronics on a circuit board, forget about it. It's all over. But definitely had a good tour here. I really appreciate you being the first guinea pig. What's the name of that group out there, the Miami Reef Keepers?
The Miami Reef Keepers, yeah.
So you guys have a group of guys. You have a group out there on Facebook. If any of you people in South Florida want to check out what they're doing, they have a group on Facebook called Miami Reef Keepers. They get together. You guys, trade corals and do all sorts of fun stuff, I'm sure, right?
The idea was to kind of like, different systems, but kind of like using the same, the same stuff, the same, fairly the same equipment, similar lights, similar schedules, and that way you could see that, the results don't just come from one person, it can come from many individuals,
Well, and you all
running
kind of
something
know
that
how
works.
stuff runs so that you can help each other as well more easily. That's a really cool
Yeah,
factor about it too.
yeah, most
Very
definitely,
nice.
most definitely. And we're always chatting amongst each other, and it's just good to, bounce ideas off. But it's good to have a group of guys, with a similar hobby. Everybody's kind of got the same mindset.
Absolutely. There's one more question. Hakan here has a question. Says, could you go over the flow and the steps he took when deciding on flow? How do you know when it's not too much? I think he's meaning like the overall flow in your tank. You're running you're running vortex in that tank, right? Like MP40s, right?
Yes, I try to run the vortex as high as possible. So one of the things that I've been doing, and I think I got in a pretty good spot, is I run sand. Aesthetically, that's what I like.
Me too.
So it's not that easy to find. So you got to balance running those MP40s as high as you can, and keeping your sand in place. So it's a combination of the schedule and trying to offset the pumps, because I want to run them as high as I can. So I
Yeah,
want as much not turnover rate. I want as much flow as possible. I don't think turnover rate is as important.
I agree.
I mean, the only thing that is basically happening is running through your mechanical filtration and your skimmer. And I know that your skimmer is not skimming 1,000+ gallons an hour.
Right.
So as long as you can run enough water to get your skimmer to work properly and your mechanical to work, I don't think you need to run 1,000, 2,000 gallons an hour.
No, and it's really it's a vestige of past, right? Where there weren't good power heads really out there. And so the only way you could really get a lot of good flow, that's the same thing with using lockline, which I think lockline is way past its day too. You don't need lockline, because if you're only running, in the case of you, let's say 300 or 400 gallons per hour, who cares where it goes other than if it goes in the tank, because it's not really doing anything anyway,
That depends. I had that issue. The reason I have lockline, because I didn't initially have it, is because it was moving my sand. So
Oh,
even
well,
the
that's for
300
sure.
tons was,
Yeah.
so that's the only reason. But
Yeah,
I
there's no
think that
doubt.
came from, I think the Europeans were big on not high flow rate. And it's probably why this tank, was designed like that, with a very small return nozzle, because they didn't see the importance of running, 10 times your display through, the sump.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, and I think that's a thing that I'm glad we're kind of moving past. But definitely very cool setup, man. So happy for you to be a customer. Appreciate you supporting us and supporting the brand, and taking the time today to come on. And I know you were kind of worried a little bit that, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Was it okay for you? Did it work out okay? Easier or harder than you thought?
Wasn't so bad.
It wasn't so bad.
In my mind, I'm just talking to you, and no, I'm not talking to anybody else.
That's pretty much it. And one of the things too, in one of the group chats we had before this, that I want to get everybody out there. Give me a comment on this. Tell me what you think, right, in the comments. Does this Henry here? Does he look like Gilbert Godfrey or what? Huh? Look at this with a smile. When the smile comes on, it is Gilbert Godfrey right here. Okay. So, are you using Trident auto dosing? I have one more question here. Are you?
You mentioned that. I just started I was really skeptical. I just started a couple of days ago. Chris convinced me to do it. So I actually went to auto dose, and I went to increased daytime dosing, because I guess the amount of 2-part I dose, I was seeing a fluctuation of probably more than half a DKH per day. So what I think I have to do is just tweak where it picked, because I guess it's just default. It kind of like picks maybe 10 to 10. My light cycle's a little later, so I might move that hump over a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll look at the chart and see if I see a different curve when it comes to what the Trident sees.
Well, I can't wait to hear back from you on that. Good to hear that you use that. And all right, man, we're gonna spin this one down, and just want to tell everybody out there that we will be doing these every other week for Control Freak Wednesday. These Miami Reef Keepers are going to set the standard, I hear, because they got a whole lineup of guys that are going to do this. Maybe they won't now that I gave Henry such a hard time on his setup. They're going to be like, oh, no, Terrence is going to say something about mine. But it was good, and I appreciate it. So we'll be next Wednesday 2 weeks from today at the same time, 3 p.m. We'll be doing another one of these. And next Tuesday at 5 p.m., we'll be doing a Let's Talk Reef. So join us there, Facebook or YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe, select to like the page on Facebook, and have it come up first. There's a little setting there to do that, so you get the notifications and you can join in, ask the questions, and be part of the fun. And until next time, enjoy those fish. And thanks, Henry, for joining us, man. Take it easy.
Thank you, Terrence.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye, guys.